Dude, go buy an orange. You are worth an orange or a lemon and a lime sort of combination. Take care of yourself.
Thoughtful. I am worth a package of citrus.
Hello, the Sonic City Council is now in session. Thank you once again for tuning in. Whether it's in your headphones, your car, your home, and your mind, we appreciate you very much. And that looks like Davey Sipes to me, sir.
They've called me that for almost 39 consecutive years, and I've been calling Jesse Davidson for some amount of time I've forgotten.
Almost 10.
Almost 10. Oh my God, how long have I been in this coma? Hi, citizens. Where did you come from? Holy shit. Is this still the 90s?
Yeah.
Why am I sinking?
Yeah. Speaking of which, you've got the what year is it Jumanji beard going on. So
I do.
it's
I'm
very apropos. Yes. And now that we're both here, we're both ready and capable, I shall summon the gavel from the heavens.
Bring on down, Bill Gavel time.
Yeah. Ooh, gavel's getting its own jingle this episode. I love it.
Okay.
Oh, good to see you, man. It's I never tire of seeing your face, and that's refreshing.
Same. We went over this off mic, but let's do it again. I like your face. Long time.
Yeah, it's much appreciated, sir.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, we have gathered here today once again, and also once again, I need to make sure I do a quick shout out for those unawares. This podcast is helped. Hold the fort.
Is it helped?
This podcast
It's been helped.
This podcast is helped by a local music school where we live in the high desert known as the Antelope Valley area of Southern California. I like to be highfalutin with it and add a bunch of extra words that don't need to be there.
Makes it sound like a country club, though, which isn't bad.
Yes, sounds very exclusive.
Antelope Valley.
We are working with them to help bring you this show. We're floating around a bunch of different ideas about how we want to change the show, and that's evolving per week. And basically, there's lots of exciting things in the works. Davey is an instructor at AMP, and if you want to look into getting lessons with him on guitar, bass, whatever he teaches, or any of the other fine instructors at AMP, look them up, and there will be a link to them in the description. Also, they are putting together a new virtual reality theater that we will be a part of and filming our production in there. Hopefully, one of these days, when we can get together and do the whole live thing with people and stuffs and the place and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So, AMP Music, check them out, and we are very thankful for them. Also, please like, comment, subscribe, all that, YouTube legally required FDA stuff that I'm supposed to say.
Yes, rewatch this during times when you should be working at the office, and smother us with affection in comments and the DM.
Yes, I was gonna say, don't file those TPS reports.
Yeah,
watch.
We all know those don't mean what's anything, right?
You know what's up.
Fuck the TPS.
You know what's up.
Guys.
The guy, that'll be great. Just put your headphones in. Yeah, I'll get right on
you
that.
You could just
and
come in on
listen to
Saturday.
Oh wait, hold on.
Do it.
And I'm also gonna need you to come on Sunday too. Okay, great. Thanks.
Oh,
that's the lumber.
Magic moments. I knew you'd know that.
Yes. So, Mr. Davey, do you know why we're gathered here today?
Not my parole hearing. Not again.
Definitely not your parole hearing. That is a Sonic City courtroom. This is a Sonic City council, so it's a different
solid
jurisdiction,
brother. And
yes, solid distinction.
We're here because we are conversating with a guest who, though he is a male, he is beautiful, and also he is perhaps one of your longest living human friend interactions on Earth planet with you four.
Yes, this is a gentleman by the name of Andrew Gonzales, and he is a person of many talents. He used to work at ESP Guitars. in the USA Custom Shop. Got a little bit of heartburn there. Excuse me.
God bless you.
ESP Custom Shop for a few years. He's graduated from the Musicians Institute in their guitar craft program. He builds his own guitars as well, and he'll post about all that stuff on his social media. So if you want to check that out, there will be links below in that description. Also, Andrew is a musician, and that's sort of how we came to meet, just, doing local music scene stuff. Well, actually, that's not how we met. Longest friend. I'm thinking of like when we actually started playing together in bands. I skipped ahead just a little bit. To bring up your point there, Andrew, I've known, I think since like 5th grade, if not like 6th or 7th grade. It was pretty early on that we met.
You were, to make it clear, he was in 5th grade, but you were 23.
That was exactly the scenario.
Kidding, citizens.
Yeah. Well, I had my, ice cream truck business or whatever, van, whatever. Yeah, ice cream van. That's basically what they are. And I was just circling the school, we grew up together, and we found each other at the time when we were both experimenting with music and like, hey, what does this sound like? What's this? And that age when you're, really diving into that. And then, grew our hair out, sort of around the same time. And then it was like, around middle school was when it really clicked. And it wasn't just the, oh, yeah, you're that guy that I'm seeing in my classes and talking to. It's like we found this thing to like connect on, like this music thing. And we just kept running into each other. We always ended up in the same schools, had the same interests, sort of same circle of friends. And then the same thing happened, in college, where we would run into each other in the same music classes. And then we both sort of not parted ways, but we both just, started getting into adult life stuff and careers and things like that. And, we both stuck with music, and we both ended up getting jobs in, the music business. And it's just cool to see that his passion carried him as far as it has. And we'll get into that in this episode, but it's just been awesome to have a friend like that you've always been in touch with and have the same interests and just sort of had similar trajectories in life. And you go, oh, wow, that's amazing.
It definitely is. It's very cool. So I'm done with you. Can we go talk to this guy?
Well, I'm done with you, all right? Get the fuck out of here. Let's get the fuck into this fucking episode.
I'm talking to you.
What's up, Andrew? Thank you so much for coming on Sonic City Council today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's so funny because there's among the people that I went to school with and people that I've kind of known for long periods of time, me and you kind of go way back in just the circle of life and, things that have happened.
I totally agree with that. Because we're, man, I think the first time I met you was with Seth and his brother back at like Joe Walker.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, those guys, like.
That's junior high that's for the rest of you outside the loop, so that's a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's we met. I think I might even met you at the tail end of like elementary school. I think.
Yeah,
or it could have been middle school. I don't remember.
Sure, we have, but as far as I know, we've been at the same school in like at least the whole. It's amazing how that works.
So for people that don't know, like I've had, two of my best friends I've known since 3rd grade, and now we just realized we're coming up on 20 years of friendship, and their names are Seth and Adam. And at the time, we were all really diehard into music and like metal and just getting into that world. So at that age, you kind of seek out anybody around you that has similar interests, and then it's like, hey, let's hang out. It's like, you're the weird long hair guitar player kid too. Like, all right. And, and that's where Davey was coming from too, with his growing up. And for us, it's like we were always in the same classes, same school and that thing, and had similar interests. And after we graduated, we both ended up kind of just going into music for a career and stuck with it, and just kind of
Wow.
ended up being, I don't know, just kind of getting a lot of pinch me moments to where we're like, damn, did that just really happen? And it's like,
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
cool
Yeah.
that, yeah. And I don't know, it's just always been cool to me that thinking about like, wow, this is something that we found at a young age. And it's like, this is what we like and what we're into. And then followed the dream, passion and pursuit of it. And then it's like, oh, wow. Like, I never thought it would take me as far as it did.
Yeah, I think one of those moments was when I was going to ABC, and I think we were in the same sound engineering class,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was so weird because I like walked in and you were in there and you were like, and I was just like, hey,
Yeah.
it's
I
you
remember
again,
that.
like.
All right, another school.
Right.
Yeah, why not? We've been every school up till now. Why not?
Yeah, and so I think that is really cool to see, especially growing up out here. Is seeing someone like you who's actually stuck with music for so long, and that group of people that we hung out with. We're all into music, but there's very few people that, I mean, you'd be like, I think they're going to take it somewhere, but then you're like, wow, they actually like really stuck with this. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and nothing against people whose plan like changes or
Sure.
life changes. It's not about that. It's just it is amazing to see people that even if they ended up going on a different career path, that they still play. That's the other thing, that they're still just as passionate and into music. And among like kind of the group of friends that we had, there's a few people that that's the case, where they're still just as passionate
Mm-hmm.
about music, and it's a really good thing to see. And for people getting to know you and your story, you went from out here in the high desert, you ended up commuting down to LA and kind of being involved in you went to Musicians Institute for the guitar craft program, and then you ended up getting a job at ESP. So kind of talk us through how you ended up going from college classes to that stage of your life.
Well, I think at that moment, after the engineering course, I think it was the next semester at some point, I wanted to take kind of get my hands more back on guitar. I felt like that was where my passion was playing guitar. So they had the classical guitar class, and I ended up taking that.
Nice.
And then afterwards, it got kind of stagnant for a little bit, and I was just like, I kind of had to stop and reassess. I'm like, man, I still don't feel like this is like the main thing. Like, I feel like it was more of like a filler thing, just kind of get the need. But I wasn't thinking of like, man, okay, I need to start thinking of what I want to do for a career. And then Matt, my brother, was like, hey, what about the Musicians Institute? I'm just like, well, let's check it out. You see it all the time. You see it commercials all over Facebook, social media. And I was like, all right, let's check this out. So went down there for an orientation. I was just completely like, it's so incredible. Like, it's like something right out of a movie. Like, you go into like your college classes and you have all your desks, right? And then you have like, the front, the whiteboard, and you go in there, it's all the desks. And then instead of a whiteboard, it's a wall of amps and like guitars, drums. And you're just like, what is this place? Like, so while I was there, I talked with Tony Ailman, and he graduated there. I think he got got from the master's class. And so instead of pursuing actual like guitar playing, I wanted to know the ins and outs. I always loved working with my hands and stuff like that. So they offered a guitar craft academy, which was actually a separate building that was like on Sunset, like down a couple blocks from the main campus. And and there was John Carruthers, like he's a legendary luthier, and so he was there for a little while, and then oh man, I forgot his name, but he was also one of the guitar builders from Ibanez, the custom shop, and he took over after Carruthers left. And that was in the middle of my second semester there, and it was absolutely amazing. There was a lot of things I took in high school, like drafting and AutoCAD and stuff like that, and it was like all right there. Like it was all coming back, and then I realized it's all applied knowledge at this point, and it was a breeze. I passed. It was awesome. I learned a lot about woodworking, and then from that point, I worked at a Guitar Center for about I think it was like 7 months, and I'm not going to say it wasn't the greatest experience, but I'm definitely not a salesman, that's for sure. So,
right.
So I wanted to actually, so I was just like, you know what? Yeah, this still isn't what I want to do. But I was thankful that I did have a job like that it was somewhat of a stepping stone. And, I ended up getting a job at ESP Guitars, and that moment was like, because I was talking about that when I was working at Guitar Center, and I was just like, man, I just want to work there. I just want to work there. I just want to work there. And then one of these days, like I was actually on my way to Kaiser, and they were just like, I wasn't feeling good. And then they were like, hey, we have a job offer for you. I'm like, oh my God, like this is it. Like,
oh yeah.
So I got the job, and I believe I started towards the end of 2015, and I started out as a QC technician, and we were passing guitars. I think our quota was 30 guitars a day, and that was setup and strings if there was any repairs. I learned how to buff finishes, all that knowledge I learned from the Musicians Institute really came down and helped me there. And fun fact is the owner of the Musicians Institute actually owns ESP Guitars, and they're pretty like open as far as looking for people who have went to the Musicians Institute and are looking to get that their foot in the door. And it was an amazing place to work at. And
nice.
Yeah, and then I ended up moving up and worked at the ESP USA Custom Shop for, I believe, 3 years. And that was an experience and a half. That was amazing. And okay, and Jesse, you already know that I'm going to bring this up, that there was... as if there was this moment, like me and Jesse we'd talk and, text each other like, hey, that's cool. What's up? I'm working here. He's like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
And then I think you were in like some truck back there, like helping move gear. And Jeff Diamond was there too. And all of a sudden I hear Andrew. And I'm just like, this isn't happening. This is not happening. And then I look. I know. It's like, I'm just like,
Andrew.
Jesse, like, what are you doing here? Like, but it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, it was great because we were getting ready to do gigs out of town, and we were basically like in one of the buildings next door. We were picking up some equipment, and then we were, and then I looked, I was like, oh, ESP, and I'm like, Andrew's like right there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be around this area more. Like, I should just shoot you a text and see what's up. And while we were working, we saw you, like, walking across the parking lot, or Jeff did, or I forget exactly how it happened. But, yeah, he yelled out, Andrew! And then you looked and you were like, whoa, what's going on? And it was just another one of those, like, yeah, well, this seems about right.
We're in the same place.
Middle school, high school, college, work. It's like, yeah, that's about right. Hey, what's up, man?
That's wild. That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. But yeah, and it was cool too, just to see, some of the stuff that you were getting to work on, and then, making guitars for certain people, because it's the same with me too, because talking about, those specific instances, you were walking across the parking lot to go back in and work on some guitars or custom stuff with all the artists, the ESP reps. And those are some of those artists that, going back to our school days, we would all listen to at lunch and wear the shirts and all of that stuff. And it was the same with me, okay, now I'm working for bands and packing up gear and going and doing these gigs for bands that some musicians that I grew up listening to. And so it was this cool, parallel moment. And it just, I think about stuff like that still sometimes, and just thinking about just kind of the grand scheme of things and going like, wow, how crazy is that?
It's I can't explain it. It's just one of those things. I'm just going to roll with it. I'll probably see him at some point again. But it was cool seeing, especially you and Jeff and, I don't know, whoever else being in their element like that, and thinking back about high school from just like when we were in guitar club, and then actually seeing being in that element. And you know what? NAMM. I think NAMM also.
Of course.
With David Hodrick and all that. And I think there was that one year when we were all watching Tony Ailman play, and we were just we were all there in the moment, and it was just this is really freaky but cool, It's
totally. Well, and that's what it's about, man. It's, in my view of it, and this isn't the case all the time, but people that are good people that, you meet, and sometimes you've known these people forever, sometimes you meet these people relatively quickly, but just, I like it feeling like a big club of all cool different people from different walks of life that, we're all different, but we're all getting along, and
we all speak the same language without having to say it.
And it's super cool and just super awesome to be a part of, and moments like that remind you of that, where it's like, oh wow, we're kind of in this big fold of stuff to a certain extent, and it's cool. And for you, I want to, obviously we're going to get into your music, and because you have, some of the most interesting and crazy music I've heard in a while. So I want to focus on that because that is your passion. But I do want to talk about guitars, and I know Davey wants to talk about guitars. And you, not only did you work in the custom shop, you build your own guitars on your own time with all the knowledge that you have about woodworking. And, when you're not building, various cosplay, crazy contraptions. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe you just built that. You're building your own guitars. So I want to get into the crafting side of this, and thinking about, seeing your progression going from, just all of us starting off in a garage and playing with your buddies to now you have this really specific knowledge in this area. So if you can kind of talk about, what do you think makes a guitar, like when people talk about a really good guitar, great guitar, some guitars that have the magic that people call it, that this one just feels right and has a certain, can you kind of get into that?
Yeah, sure.
And, the nuts and bolts
Absolutely.
of why that is?
I'm the black sheep of the guitar builders a little bit, but
why is that?
There's a lot of people who believe that they're you can hear the tone of the guitar, or you can hear the sound of the guitar with the type of body. But honestly, it all comes down to variables. And, you have, if you actually sit down and you think about it, the guitar that I built at the Musicians Institute is a perfect example. And I'm not saying that, I'm sure other people can, hear other things that maybe I don't. Maybe my ears are just going bad, but with all the abuse. But there was, at the Musicians Institute, there was all the guitars that we made there were so many different ones. We ended up, in my class, we built 2 guitars. There was a bolt-on for the first semester. Second semester was a set neck. And something that I have noticed is that I did a wood grain finish on the Flying V that I made. It didn't have any like real heavy coat of polyurethane on it, and it resonated. Like you can, and it was string through. You can, you strum it and you feel the whole thing vibrate, and it actually like really did add a lot of frequency to it. But then compared to the first guitar I made, which was solid mahogany, then there was 4 layers of polyester, and then there was another like 3 to 4 layers of polyurethane, and then the clear coat. And then we built the pickups and all this stuff. And honestly, it sounded almost worse than it still sounded good. It sounded awesome, but compared as far as like a very full tone sound, the grain filled body just sounded so good on the V. It was almost like let me show you this, for example. So this is my latest guitar. I didn't build this, but my wife got it for me for my Dirty 30. It's a Strandberg.
Yeah.
So this guitar has a grain filled finish. It's chambered. It weighs like, I don't know, like less than
a pound. Yeah.
Like it feels probably, like right? It. Yeah. Well, it doesn't have a headstock either, so that's nice.
Oh, so it's even lighter than that. Shit.
Yeah. But what's cool about it is that something like that, especially with an EMG pickup, it resonates. It sounds. It's like. Even when you're not even plugged in, you're just jamming, it resonates. It makes noise, and you can almost feel it in your body. And I think that's where a lot of people get like, oh, this is the one, this is the guitar. I could feel it, that kind of thing, because you could literally, almost feel it resonate through you.
Right.
Out of the guitars and all the guitars I've played, out of all the pickups that I have played, honestly, I think what it comes down to is just the amount of finish that you have on your guitar. You want a guitar that will resonate. You want something that has probably not as thick of a finish. A lot of cheaper guitars have a pretty thick coat of polyurethane, whatever it's coated in. And then, they slap the pickups in, and then you're pretty much getting whatever tone and frequency resonation from the strings to the pickup. And that's about it. But then you can definitely hear it in like acoustic guitars. You play like a Seagull, and it might sound kind of tinny, or you play like even acoustic basses. Like Matt has that Fender Zebra Wood, and it sounds awesome. But then you can pick up a guitar like a Takamine, acoustic bass that has like a thick black finish on it, and it still doesn't sound. It almost, I don't know. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right, and I think that's where it really comes down. Also, your the type of pickups, that can pick up those frequencies.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, would you say that wood, as far as what the body is made out of, can really just be altered by a finish, or do you think that that the core of whatever that sound is gonna hold up? Because I would think that, I mean, I don't know, or maybe it's the balance of both. It sounds like
it's definitely, it takes two to tango. But it's crazy because there's like this guy that's on YouTube, and he makes these guitar bodies out of like ramen, or he makes a guitar. Have you seen that? Like pencil, like epoxy crayons.
That's crazy.
And essentially what he does is he takes material and just makes a big block of epoxy and puts it in there and puts a bunch of holes in it, slaps in some pickups. And if you actually go in and listen to it, it's not bad, but it makes you wonder, like, are they trying to sell you something, like, as far as like, oh, this guitar body, this one really sounds good. And it's like, well, what makes it sound so good? Is it the pickups, or is it the actual, like, the material? He built a guitar body that was out of like cement, and it sounded like a normal guitar. So it makes you wonder,
God damn.
Right. No, that is the crazy part, and I'm curious to know what Davey thinks about this on the player's side of things. And me, I'm kind of in both camps. I think it really is a matter of every person's got a unique touch, and like most of the tone you get is in your hands, and a lot of the aspects of tone, although you can tune your ear to hearing all these minute different things. A lot of it is psychological.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Certain sounds evoke certain things when you play it. So, for example, if I play a certain type of guitar or bass and I'm picking up that bass, just knowing what I know about instruments, if I pick up an SG, I'm either going to think Angus Young, Tony Iommi, one of those kind of people. So I'm probably going to be more inclined to play a certain way just by picking up an instrument. And then for me, if I feel a neck and a neck feels really good, then I'm already into it too. So it's a lot of it's this weird feel psychological thing,
honestly,
I think, attached to it.
I bought probably the cheapest 7-string from ESP when I worked there. I think I bought it for like $150, and I put some EMG pickups in it, swapped out the hardware, and I knew the EMGs would make a difference.
They do.
Oh yeah, they made a huge difference. But I refinished it and everything. But honestly, that guitar played as if it was like a $600, $700 guitar, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I think the psychological thing is definitely part of it. When you have something that you're, no pun intended, when you're in tune with, it's like
wow.
Right.
This is happening again, citizens. Hang in there. We'll get through the turbulence.
The last episode, we were talking to my sound buddy. No, we were talking to a sound engineering buddy of mine, Tyler Davis, and we had a whole section on dad jokes.
Oh, I got some stinkers.
Well, I was gonna say, you being a dad for as long as you've been now, it's like you've probably got a few good ones in your belt.
Last night I had a dream. I was a muffler.
Oh Christ! I don't want to. You take the bait. What is it?
When I woke up, I was exhausted.
All right, I'm literally gonna claw the skin off my face and protest, dude.
I feed on the groans that Davey produces when he hears those jokes.
You see the vein popping up in my forehead?
Happy.
This is like an aneurysm about to happen. But I love you.
I love it. I love it.
It's fun.
Yeah, but
good.
Definitely. I definitely agree with you on that, Andrew. And it's I think it's a mix of both. Some people are just convinced that like you have to have a certain type of thing to do whatever it is. Right. And I think that some of that is based in just kind of a tried and true thing. As a bass player, for example, Fender P bass through any sort of Ampeg amp type of thing is okay. This has been proven that it works. Yeah. And so if you just plug in an American P bass to an Ampeg SVT, that you have a tone already, like this works. Yeah. It's been done. Yeah. And same thing with a Les Paul and a Marshall. It's like, it's kind of dummy.
Fender on Fender.
But well, yeah, Fender and a Fender amp, whatever, or a Gibson into a Fender amp. There's all these combinations.
What are you, Santana or something? What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say it's like Joe Bonamassa vibes, but nothing against that.
Well, he's got. Well, see, his licks are so good. He's like, I guess I should have kind of a screechy tone. That's what I assume he's doing with that. It's like I should have just kind of one of those, like just on the knife edge of your ear.
Yeah,
but all the flurries are just goddamn that guy.
Yeah, well, that's like on his guitar videos when he's got the amp cranked because he's in his own house or whatever, and then he dimes the reverb and he starts doing blues solos, and I'm like, it's so self-indulgent that I'm just like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. No judgment.
I feel like he plays his amps and not his guitars.
A little bit. That's part of that sound, doggy.
There is a little bit of that. Yeah, but there is something to like those gigs that. When I had run into you in the parking lot, those were for Last in Line, the band, and with Vivian Campbell, like he has that Holy Diver Les Paul that he's used on all that Dio stuff, and that's the guitar for that. And so when he plays, it's like, and I've sound checked with that guitar and I play it. It's like, oh my God, that has a certain sound to it. It's the pickups he put in it back in the day mixed with just the way that guitar is built in his hands.
Right.
So I think along with you talking about all the factors that go into a guitar itself and all the variables, it's once you go beyond the actual, guitar itself, there's so many variables too. And so it's this weird mix of like, it's kind of all okay, but it's also can get really, you can really narrow in on uber specific stuff and get lost sometimes.
I think honestly what it comes down to is whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, I know. It's part of it is it's like if you're happy, then you will play better.
Yeah. Well,
it's like how much
there was times when at like Guitar Center when someone would be like, "Oh, I got this guitar sucks. Like I got fret buzz all over it." I'm like, "Okay," and then so I'll like run it through. I'm like, "That's weird. I don't hear any fret buzz." Like, and they're like, "Huh, that's strange. Okay, I'm just gonna go now." Like.
Whoops.
And you look at the way that they're playing and you're like, oh, it's not the guitar. It's a
operator,
user. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know. Davey, what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on tone and all this kind of stuff. Because we talk music and songs and performance a lot, but we don't necessarily get into tone and things like that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess because it's like I feel I'm behind the curve on that stuff. Classical guitar was the first thing I really studied intensely. That's the thing I finished studying, and I think that my feeling on most of it is that I think that there's a definite difference between a builder's sensibility and a player's sensibility for sure. Because my sense of what an instrument's tone is always secondary to my physical relationship with it. And it doesn't matter whether it's an acoustic, nylon string, steel string acoustic, fucking lap steel, electric guitar, 6, 7, 8. That's what like, and they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be like an archetype for me. It just has to be, again, it's just something that I can relate to. One thing I've noticed is that I have 3 different electrics that 2 of them are new to me this year. I've had this Beat Ibanez EX from like 1989 because I'm a lefty.
Oh, wow.
So my guitars are all kind of like futants and mutants. And then this year my dad hooked me up with the with the Les Paul SE Custom and the not Les Paul, the PRS SE Custom and the Fender American Strat, which I always wanted. And what I realized is that they all play with a different amount of fight, to me is what I call it. And fight in this case is really like the actual difference in how much I have to physically adjust to play what I normally play, be it a cover or something of my own. And that means that usually means like if I have to engage my fingers more in certain areas, it's like a neck radius thing almost, I think, almost entirely, and a string width thing on a technical level for left hand for me. So if it feels like I'm just not floating, then something's not right there for me. I got like so many random ass guitars in my travels, and I've liked a lot of them. You know, I've had Martins in my lives. I had Carvin is still my go-to acoustic guitar. The Carvin Cobalt is just such a perfect guitar because it's not trying to be anything. It's just a palette. And I guess that's awesome. That's my starting point. But I'm in love with the idea of building a guitar someday and doing at least a little bit of amateur luthier work. So I'm like,
let me know,
bro. Show. But I want to ask you about real quick. I want to ask you, like, what do you feel like there's any? Have you experienced that in building guitars for as many like well-known people as you have? Have you encountered that kind of? There's a difference between like what matters or the values you're putting into it from a builder side versus the player side, though you're both.
I think it still just comes down to preference.
Okay.
For me as a builder, I'm constantly like I have my preferences of like what I aim to get out of a guitar, what feels great to me. But as a builder is very similar to as musicians, our sole purpose is to have an audience. So my audience are players to be able to, get comfortable with their instrument and be as close. Like I want this instrument to be a complete mirror of my style of playing. So I have to try and think, I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's try and do that. Cause, like I have come across so many styles of guitar, so many types of neck shapes and everything. It's like an endless I can't even explain it. It never ends. Like, for example, Davey, you're talking about like neck radiuses. The one on here, if you can see it, it's called an Endura neck. And it's actually squared off and tapered.
Yeah.
So it's to reduce drag. So when you play, it forces your thumb on the backside and lower down, so you're in the player position.
It makes you play classical.
Yeah, pretty much. And it starts from the top, and then it actually goes at a diagonal towards the highest fret. You can see.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
Yeah, it literally feels like you're just gliding. Like there's no drag. There's a few companies. I actually started doing that with the guitars that I had built, where I add a bit of a squared off end, and that actually reduces drag inside your hand here, and that you're more focused on getting your thumb in the right position.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, especially depending on what you're playing. I mean, I can imagine for some people's hands that would not be what they were looking for, but some people that might be absolutely perfect. You know, just because it's the same with the fan frets sort of approach.
Exactly.
It's like some people.
This one has it. This one goes from a 25 and a half to 25.
Right.
It's pretty steep, but I mean, it looks freaky when you play it, but literally as soon as you start, you think, okay, I'm going to play it like a normal instrument, and it's great because having fan frets actually keeps the intonation intact and all that stuff, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Does it feel like when you're playing on that, it looks like you would have less of a coefficient of tension between your fingers almost because you have less to spread to get to the fretboard areas that are separate?
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Like especially for doing like chords.
Yeah.
It's such a breeze because
it looks easy.
You know, it's shorter on the high end, so I mean it goes within the shape of your fingers, so everything's at an angle, and rather than having to try and adjust it like this, and everything's
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's so money.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was I never really got into the fan fret thing, and I don't have any guitars that have them, but I got to play one at the 2020 NAMM show, and I think it was a Dingwall.
That's what it
was. Those are awesome.
Yeah. The last NAMM. Yeah, exactly.
I was complaining and bitching about it so much the whole time. Sorry to interject, but it's funny to think this year, I'm just like, damn, NAMM, I miss you, girl. I miss you, baby. You'll be back. Yeah, but I was sitting there like, this shit is too crowded now. They don't have as many cool vendors as before. Not much swag. I'm an asshole.
Dude, that's the same with like going to shows or anything else. You get into that, like you get so used to it. They're like, oh man, it's like this. I want to go see this show, but it's like there's parking down there's a pain.
Yeah, and then you're the guy,
and all the stuff that you.
Then you're the guy in the back of the audience just complaining with your beer.
Oh yeah.
or it's just like, oh man, I got work the next day. I'm not sure if like whatever it is, and then now you're looking at it and it's like, yeah, all that's stupid.
Yeah.
And and anything fill in the blank, whatever you used to say. It's like for me, I just feel like all that was stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's my apology to the world. I'm sorry for any of that stupid shit I ever complained about. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. It's I think we're at the tail end of stuff and things, not like we're out of the woods yet by any means.
No, not me. I got syphilis, but I mean the rest of y'all be fine.
I was gonna say that's a different set of circumstances.
Don't use my mic.
Yeah. Never have, never will.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, where were we?
I got a chance to try a fan fret bass, and it's way easier than you think it would be.
Whoa!
And I just love how
fan fret bass?
like
wow.
Yeah, well, that's the Dingwall. They fan out like
Okay.
It's like oh wait.
Say Dingwall? Did you say Dingwall?
Yeah. Is that the name of it, right? I don't know, dude. I've been such a fucking
Is that the
space
name of
case lately. I think.
Brand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you some shit after the podcast.
Oh, that explains it. Oh, no, I got it. Yeah, with a name like Dingwall.
Yeah, but
Sorry, you guys.
I love that now. I was gonna say, I love now that you see all these innovations in guitars, because there's been this. As much as people that, I mean, I don't get into this argument because I think it's kind of dumb, but people are like, oh, guitar is dead. And it's like, yeah, but if you're paying attention, it's like all of these companies are doing all of these really exciting things, and whether it's just little changes like that where, oh, yeah, we've shaped the neck differently. And yeah, necks have been around, whether they're more baseball bat or they taper, it's generally the same idea since the invention of the guitar.
It's the future. That's all it is. Things moving forward,
but it's awesome.
And innovation and a lot of things like that, and that's something even that's funny, because there was a couple times where I thought, with my guitar building, now that I'm not working at ESP anymore, there was a time where I was like, it's dead, that music life's dead, but really it's not. It doesn't ever leave you, and so I just kind of embrace it, and that's it. So.
It's
awesome.
I feel that it's like I would be playing it no matter how fucking popular it was at any given point in the pop culture.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and on the same train of innovating and moving forward, I've also, just knowing you as long as I have, seen your career and life in general and all that progress. And at one point we were both in a band together, a metal band that was with Hodrick. That's how I actually met Hodrick, was because I had known Andrew, and they were looking to record their metal band at the time, called Pragmatic Enzyme.
Yeah, I remember
still
that.
YouTube it. Yeah, the videos are still up there for anybody that wants to see it.
I'm going there once
you can
we're
see
done.
Me and my. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll send you that too. It's interesting because I ended up joining that band when they needed a bass player, but the initial meeting was that I know you didn't even have to say anything. That was the chuckle there was enough. But that's how Hodrick came into the fold, and of course he's on our Roundtable podcast for those that listen to those episodes. But yeah, it's seeing you started off. You've always been in the metal sort of world, and I've seen different styles of it. There was the progressive sort of genty stuff. There was just straight death metal stuff, or like black metal, I should say.
Everything.
But now it's but now you have this new band, and I might butcher the pronunciation of this first word, but Yandere, right?
Yeah,
is that right? Okay. Yeah, Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory. And it is, for those that know baby metal and that band, you might like this, but this is basically where death metal and anime meet in this very interesting convergence. And I have some questions, and I know Davey has some questions. So I want to know how this project came about. But I have, how did this project come about? Like the art, the music, all of it. I want to know, like, is there a scene for all of this kind of music? Which obviously there is, because your album just came out on an independent record label that released it, which is awesome. And so, but we'll get into all of that. But I have questions. Sure. So let's start with how this project came about.
Well, I was, honestly, like with this whole quarantine, if there's anything I'm going to look at it in any positive ways, like if you're a musician, now is the time to get down on your work and get it done. And it's the perfect time to get all your music out, get everything out. You're at home. If if you're not at home, I'm sure you have some kind of time. And it all comes down to time management too. If you can nail that, then you could do 100 things during the day and not get too exhausted. But yeah, this came about. I was doing I had a project called Starlit Death, and it was a synthwave, like retro wave project. And I also had another electronic project called Infinite Force. It was like a lot of future funk, vaporwave. And I had a lot of ideas as far as my metal side of things, which I actually have probably way more of a passion for. But I needed an outlet to, okay, it's like I got this stuff and now I have all these ideas. I got all these riffs and all this stuff. I need to throw them somewhere. And I was just like, one day, like literally out of the blue, I was just like, I was listening, getting in touch with some of my old metal bands. I was listening to slam bands, brutal, a bunch of death metal bands. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to make a slam, brutal, like just crazy. And I was already pretty used to this when I was in a band called Exploding Dog. Jesse, you know? Yeah. So
it was one of the finest bands from the Antelope Valley punk scene, in my opinion.
Crazy power violence, just nasty.
I just loved seeing show flyers with the name on it, and then also going like, oh yeah, I know everybody in that band. Just in local music scene, when you see a name on a flyer that sticks out, you're not gonna forget that. Right. It makes you do a double take, and you go, wait, what?
Exactly. So I got in touch with all, pretty much that side, and I'm just like, this is, no matter what I play, no matter how much, I can go as far as playing jazz or progressive, synth wave, retro wave, vaporwave, all the waves, and
all the waves.
It's all the waves.
Yeah, do the wave, and it's like
hashtag all the waves.
Yeah.
Can you play them?
Oh yeah,
that's the new challenge.
And
there you go.
And so I was just like, you know what, this is something that a lot of when I play riffs, they sound good. I get a lot of passion for the things I write with this. So out of the blue, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna try and go for this. I'm gonna make a song. I'm gonna see how it goes. I put one little like a single demo out, and I'm like, I think this is. I needed a stepping stone for that, and I was like, it's not too bad. I was getting a little response to it. I'm just like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna gamble with this, and if something happens, if it doesn't, at least I have put my music somewhere out there, like, but in the infinite collection, and it really started to pick up, and I was actually getting a lot more responses. I invested in a logo that helped a lot, immensely, and then I actually had an artist named Minako do a fan commission for me and created Chainsaw Chan, which is like basically the mascot, and it looked really good. Like, it was very professionally made and all this extra stuff. And then I was like, you know what, I really, I also love watching anime. I love being in the pop culture.
Right.
I go to conventions. I'm a freaking nerd. Like, it's bad.
It's good.
Same.
I own it.
Good.
I own it hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, don't ever be afraid to own that stuff. You only live once, so do what makes you happy, and
absolutely,
and have confidence in that. That's where a lot of good playing, good sound comes from, is having that. But
yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, I have so many friends that are already in that culture and are really into anime and stuff, and I was thinking, man, it'd be, and I'm not one to kind of sit in the norm, so I didn't want to be the normal slam death metal band, like I was already an Exploding Dog. That was completely abnormal. And
you wanted to set yourself apart.
Yeah, exactly. Like that time when I had a show in my dad's garage, and you remember Roger Brewer, and he screamed his vocals and blew out his vocal cord and started bleeding all over, I still have that picture. I'll send it to you. And my dad's like, what the hell's going on here? Like,
What's going on? Well, and everybody who was there, I'm sure, had the same reaction. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, it was crazy. I got the picture. He's like, and he's like coming out of his nose and his mouth, and it was insane.
God.
Jesse was there.
Yeah, back in the I was gonna say back in the days when you were like, oh, that's cool, and then you're like, oh wait, no, it's not.
Damage is cool.
Yeah, looking back on that, it's like, oh, maybe I should have learned how to sing properly.
Yeah,
the same way where it's like I was like, louder the better, and now
I don't need earplugs, and it's like now you got
and I'm
aids.
just like now I'm like yeah. I was gonna say earplugs prevent hearing aids. Yeah,
but
exactly.
Going back, so with that, there's the normal heavy metal community and all that stuff, but then I going to conventions and also being at NAMM and being around all those people, being forced to talk to a lot of people and getting to know a lot of people.
Right.
You realize that a lot of people have the same interests and the same, taste in music, no matter where you go. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and reach a new audience. I'm going to shoot for the anime kind of community and see what happens. Maybe that'll add to it. And okay, I'm letting you know I'm not the only band that's doing this. That's like anime death metal. There's about
there's
5 or 6 other bands that are signed that are right there. There's this band called okay, get ready. This is a tongue twister.
I'm all ears.
Dehumanizing Ida Train Worship. And then there's Cheerleader Concubine. There's Septic Carnage. There's Yagami.
Oh man,
the list goes on. And then there's my band. I could barely pronounce it. It sucks when I do streams. I'm just like like I can't even say it sometimes. But Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory. And then but that it just within I don't know a couple weeks it just exploded. And people were reaching out. There was a couple labels that I got in touch with. It was crazy. So I was like, okay, now I need to start putting some music out there. I had some merch. I had some extra stuff.
I'm sorry, Davey's face is just like I want to just screen cap that and then put it on my phone. Just every time he calls or texts me, it's like this heavy. He's mystified. I love it.
I love it, but I'm like I'm flummoxed and I'm struggling to understand where. So what's the name come from? Like,
well, yandere is a Japanese. It's a word that basically describes someone who literally kills you with love. Basically, like if you meet this girl and she's like she's like, oh yeah, she's up, and then you're like, well, I don't think it's gonna work out, and then she's like, well, if I can't have you, then nobody will, and then she tries to kill you, like that. And then there's chainsaws, there's regurgitation, there's factories, and then I didn't really go much further than that. I'm like, it just sounds cool, I guess.
A ring to it.
But you invented it yourself?
Yeah.
Bro, okay.
Well, so it's to me when you get into like niche genres like this, it's really a testament to like we already know what the internet is and that we've grown up with it. It's been around in our lives, for decades at this point. But as it's evolved and you see it evolve, then you see all of these niches and these categories develop with it too, and it's one of those things that it's just so interesting to see, and it's do
you watch animation?
You can build an audience. No, I'm not into the anime.
I mean, I'm a burgeoning fan, but the connection makes a lot of sense when you hear the theme music to a lot of anime TV shows. It's like genre in a blender, but they tend to go, especially these days, with the more of the oriented, because they're age-oriented anime. So the ones for teen and young adults especially are darker than they used to be when I was growing up. And the soundtracks go harder. And this seems like, I don't know if you feel this at all, Andrew. It feels like it's a little bit of like a kind of like a resonance from that. Like it feels like that's where people are fucking with it because they're like, oh, this is happens when I watch the show.
Yeah. There's a lot of the theme around my music is based on a lot of horror anime, a lot of kind of serial killer kind of stuff, just real crazy, outlandish, and it's amazing because anime being what it is, there's a lot of people who feel that it's pretty taboo, and with my music, I consider it extremely taboo, and it almost works. It works in a way, like it connects on a certain level. So,
right.
I definitely feel that there's so much of a mixture of things that it's just like it's almost like a milkshake. Like you put so much like whatever you want in it, and then if it tastes good, it's like, oh, hey, that's not too bad, or it's an acquired taste, or you just throw it out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. And there's literally an audience for anything.
Yeah,
at this
you might
point.
throw it out, and then you got the hobo down the street that's just like, "Hey, this is
like
pretty good."
That's a treasure. Why'd you do that? Yeah.
Well, and it's just getting to the point where things are so blended and merged as far as sonically and tastes, and I mean, just looking at mashup culture on the internet.
Oh my god, yeah.
Taking, just like. And even now it's totally mainstream to wear that T-shirt for the Black Panther movie, but it's the Sabbath Volume 4 like logo. I don't know if anybody's seen that shirt, but I was in Walmart and I saw that and went, that's a mashup like you would see online, but they're taking the same concept and took the Black Sabbath, logo with the font and the style, but then used it for that. And I went, oh, okay, this has really hit a new point. And I don't see why music would be excluded from that. And just in the sense of mixing these different sensibilities of, do these things go together? Someone would obviously say, oh, no, they don't. But obviously they can work together, and they do. It's super fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's awesome. And
yeah.
Hold on. I need to get something to drink.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm like super dry throat.
No, it's all good. I was gonna say I hear your son in the background, and I have not seen him in a long time.
Oh yeah, you want me to bring him on camera?
Sure.
Probably gonna be shocked. One of them.
I was gonna say it's been
crazy because Killian has his hair is about as long as yours.
Oh snap!
Really?
Killian, come here.
Get over here! Get over here, boy!
Get over here, boy. Oh, my God.
Hello.
Hi.
Don't be shy. It's good to see you, dude.
Can you say
your
hi?
Long hair looks awesome.
Here, we got to show him.
Yeah, your long hair looks
got
radical.
a new mask.
We got long hair, too. We're trying to be like
cool.
you. Yeah. It's a black mask or blue mask? Hey, and it fits you good, too, huh?
I think it's blue.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like a really dark blue.
on backwards.
Oh, he said it's on backwards.
It is on backwards because the tag is up there. Hey, how old are you, dude?
How old are you? 4.
4. Awesome, man. Is he getting into messing with your guitars and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
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 Hey, Zane, come here.
That takes me back.
Oh, Zane.
Yeah, he's wearing his ninja mask on. Jesse wants to say hi to you. You remember Jesse? No? Probably not. You were just a tiny little
Hi,
baby
Zane.
thing.
Yeah.
Say hi.
How's it going, man?
Last time.
You go like this?
Hi, Zane.
Here, hold on.
What up, dude?
Yeah.
Hey, man. Rock and roll.
Hi, Zane. The last time I saw you, you were a very little kid, and now you're growing up into a vibrant young man.
Was I this small?
Smaller.
Yes, you were. I was gonna say you were that small.
Was I this small?
Yeah, about. And but yeah, I was gonna say you had shorter hair then. Yeah, you were you were a little human.
All right, there you go. Is that your mask, dude?
I was gonna say, well,
Nice.
Have you started playing any music yet, Zane? Messing around with your dad's guitars?
No, but I have been playing a piano.
Awesome, dude.
That's
good
cool.
for you.
That's a good
I
start.
got it from Christmas.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, that's a good Christmas
Are you
gift.
having fun playing it?
Yes.
Nice, dude.
But
good for you.
but I can't really play it much because school.
Oh, you got a lot of school to do?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, gotta do your schoolwork, that's for sure.
Yeah, but one good thing, it's almost done with the week, and we don't have much afternoon work.
That's sweet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we only had IXL, which is math, and that's the only thing. And today, no afternoon work.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was the best
that's the
day.
best.
That means you get to go practice your scales.
Sucker.
Oh man, dude, I have not seen him in
That's
so
pretty
long.
wild,
That's
huh?
crazy.
Yeah, I think the last time you saw him, he was like at least a year old, a year or two.
Yeah, I think he was walking at that point, but he wasn't really talking. It was just
and that was freaky for me. Like when he started walking, because he was like crawling, and then one day he like comes walking out of the kitchen. I'm just like, like
terrified.
Like what is that? Like,
who are you?
Oh, hey, buddy. Yeah,
that's great. How many you got all together,
man.
bro?
Well,
I got two.
Two, cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually met Killian, because the last time I saw you in person was at NAMM, but
maybe you didn't yet. That's crazy.
Yeah, and Zane, last time I actually saw him, he was super little and like just started walking, I think. But yeah, it's crazy.
Grow fast.
And this kind of gets this is a perfectly timed segue into something else I wanted to ask you. So I want to get back to the music part of it too, because I have some more questions. But I remember, and again, just knowing each other as long as we have, I remember kind of seeing you go from being. I love your Zoom picture.
Sorry, Jesse, he's not trying to hear that.
Yeah. He's like, I remember when. No, hold on, please hold. I'm going through a tunnel. No, I remember seeing your transition from basically being like a kid like the rest of us to becoming a dad, and something to where I think not only
did it scare you?
Have you? Well, okay. So can I tell you this? Can I talk about the story on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember I picked you up to go do something. We were going over to Hodrick's. We were like recording or we were rehearsing, something like that. And then it was one of those like, oh man, like I'm gonna have a kid type of moments. And I remember you just being like, you didn't know what was going to happen, and it was like this. What am I going to do? It was a shock.
Yeah, it was. But and you guys were like, bye. Like,
wow, that's great. Later.
I'm just kidding.
No. But it was it was something to where just seeing you go from that moment to not only being the great dad that you are, but that you're still playing music. And it was something to where it's like you're doing both, and it's really a testament to your character and like the kind of a person that you are, because it was this major shift, and you were still you, but it was this grounded, like centered adult you of like connected to these bigger things. It
was when you have kids, especially as a musician, and it opens a lot of doors, because now you have these two little goblins that you can teach how to play, music, and it's weird because you don't realize it until something significant like that happens. I'm not saying that not everybody knows, but as a parent musician, my grandpa and my great grandpa were from Spain, and they were classical guitar players, and they taught my dad how to play. And I was around my grandpa all the time when they play guitar, my dad, and it was just normal. It was just the thing. You were always around that stuff, and
right.
It's just another form of growing more musicians. But I think there was a point when that moment happened, when we were like rehearsing all that, when I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I really didn't. Like all I knew was going to band practice. All I knew was going and playing shows. I had no experience of like being a solo musician, and I had to adapt. And I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, you know what? This is my situation. I gotta deal with it. I gotta work with it. I'm going to make something of it. And I'm like, okay, so it's kind of like quarantine. Like don't look at it as so much as a bad thing. Try and find the good in it, or, that goes for everything. And
right.
So a lot of my music after Pragmatic Enzyme, a lot of it was recording at home, and I had to learn to become a solo musician. And it's actually somewhat difficult for me to play with other musicians now, because I've been doing this solo for so long, and actually have played quite a few shows being a solo musician, that it became the norm. But that's what's amazing about the norm. I'm the norm. And but that's what's absolutely incredible about all of us, is that being able to adapt like that as musicians. You got to adapt to new songwriting, new styles, new music, new guitars, instruments, basses. It's I mean, that's the nature of the beast. That's what we got to do. And it was, honestly, I still, when I do sit down and think about it, like from that moment, I'm so happy. Like, I thank myself that I didn't stray away from playing music, from letting, because I knew starting a family was going to be like it's the most life-changing, the greatest things that I'm ever going to experience. And it's going to dictate a lot of my writing, and the way I play. But really not too much has got. Let me rephrase. It hasn't changed in any negative. It has become moving forward and progressing and opening my eyes to so much more music and so much more passion, and teaching my kids how to play instruments. And it's awesome. It's an incredible journey.
That's beautiful, man.
Well, it is. And well, no,
we have this once every podcast.
I bring it up. yeah. Well, and I bring it up because I
have spawn.
Yeah.
So
well, and Davey's a parent musician as well, so he can definitely relate.
No, yeah, all of that's for real. But I don't think we wouldn't be on this podcast if I wasn't a parent to my particular kid, though, on the real, because like everything I needed to learn about not being like a fuck up, I learned from being my kid's dad. And he's taught me way more than I taught him. Except in musicianship, I'm still schooling him on that. But he is 12, and he's about to become a much better vocalist than me, because he fucking just sings Disney all day.
Wow. So. That's awesome. Yeah,
like, he's my hero.
Yes, they are.
So it's cool though, because it's like at a certain point, you guys are still young, but you really move into this stage where it's like now he's got his own life starting to happen, and there's even more room for me to do this thing that I'm doing. Like you, it was like I've been solo for so long at home writing songs, but now I've had the time to actually produce them and actually get them recorded and work with Max to getting them published. And so that was my next step that I was like, whew. It was hard to take. It probably would have been easier without the responsibility, but the responsibility made it much more meaningful. Not to be a cheeseball, but yeah.
No, I totally get
that.
Sorry.
No, I assume when you do this, now I'm assuming that's approval. For people who's not watching, that's a bunch of non-audio cues, and I apologize.
Yeah, that's the battery, but.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all good.
But yeah, I totally get that. It puts you in it almost puts you in a new state of mind.
Right.
And it forces you to use that state of mind with everything you do. You're like, okay,
yeah,
I gotta provide for them. I'm gonna provide for my music. You know, I'm gonna push it. I gotta do it. You know, you don't really think twice about it. You're just like, all right, I'm gonna do it. This is what I gotta do. Like, it's almost like the music becomes like a third child or something like that. And you gotta attend to it. You gotta feed it. You gotta make time for it as much as you make time for your kids. And then it's even more amazing when you bring your kids into that realm of music. And it's awesome, especially when you see them enjoy it as much as you do when you grow up, you know?
Yeah. And I think that there's this misconception that it has to be one or the other.
No.
And then people like you prove that. Yeah. People like you can prove that wrong, where you go, I provide for my kids, that I'm a great dad, and then I can also pursue this passion of mine. It doesn't have to, one doesn't have to suffer,
right.
And how do you think that you did that? Because I think obviously you have a work ethic, because, while, when that moment happened, I saw you going after, like, okay, now I need to provide for this family. And that's when you were going to school, and then you got the job at ESP. And it was like, I saw this transformation happening of like, wow, you're really going for it. And it was awesome. And continuing to do that with the music, it's a testament to just the work ethic you put into both. But how do you think you've been able to maintain that, besides, your drive that you have for both of those?
Like I said, it honestly just, it comes down to, well, you said it yourself, there's a work ethic. If you want it to happen, you got to make it happen. Do it in small increments, though. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do everything all at once. There's time. I forget who I heard this from, but they told me, they said time will always take care of you. And so I took that to heart, and I was just like, okay, you don't have to throw everything down on the table at once. You can do it, take your time. And along that with you don't overwhelm yourself. Take one thing at a time. Literally, it's like, okay, I finished this task. What am I going to do next? And then you think, okay, I think I can do this right now. So lay down a riff, and then get back to washing dishes. And you're like, okay, I finished my dishes. Go play with the kids. And then it's like, all right, everybody settled down. I have, and then that's when it comes down to choices. And you make those kind of decisions. You can either make that decision to, I'm going to go spend the rest of the day, play video games or whatever. Sure, that's fine. Say that opportunity comes up again. It's like, okay, I'm going to work on my drum track. And then you get that done. And the next thing you know, it's done by the end of the week. And you're like, wow, I really don't need to do. And then you spend like the next 2 months like mixing it. But
that's true.
But it really just, it comes down to how you want to spend your time, and time management, which is something every single person is always working on. It's something you can't master at all. It's just a matter of, finding the right time and moment and taking that, it's like the opportunity is always there at some point or another in the day. So that's how I do my things. I just do one task at a time and let it run its course. And when the time is right, then that's when I do it.
Makes sense, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's I think for a lot of people too, there's this people can get overwhelmed. They're really afraid of, necessarily doing that, or it's a lot of oh, well, what if a lot of what if and doubt will come up along with that. And I think that kind of clouds oh no, you're fine. It kind of clouds people's judgment on what they think they can do in certain situations, or thinking, or, especially in relation to kids, you might think, oh, I don't know if I don't know if I should do this because this isn't what's expected of me to do. And all these other things that could just come into play.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy.
There's a huge part of me, I get a lot of that too. Like, how do you do it? How do you do this? You have kids. How do you do this? And it's just like, I literally do everything that everybody else does. I just have, I have a family I got to take care of. And it's just just another factor that's been thrown in, and it's so hard to explain because there's so many people that are afraid of change, and it's such a crazy thing. Like, I turned 30 in December, and you get a lot of people, and that's the thing. You're like, oh, you turned 30, your skin's gonna turn to paper and your bones are gonna turn to glass, and it's just like,
that's also true.
Yeah, watch this.
It's like, oh, brother.
and it's true.
Papyrus.
But that would be creepy.
When I turned 30, I didn't get any of that. Like, I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel anxious or scared. When it happened, it passed so quick, and I was just like, I still feel the same, but I got this really badass guitar that my wife got me. Like, but the thing is I think that kind of change, for example, I know it's a little off topic, but
no, go for it.
With that kind of change, especially the common thing of being afraid of turning 30 or hitting those milestones, is that I think people are more afraid that they're not in the spot where they see themselves, where they want to see themselves. I know a lot of people that, are afraid, they're like, oh, I don't want to turn 30. And it's just like, well, you got to see where you're at in life. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that. They're not doing so hot in that spot. They're going to be more, looking towards like the end of the world. I'm almost through my life. It's like, no, you're not. It's like, where do you want to see yourself? No. It's not too late. It's like people who want to learn to play an instrument when they're like 60 years old or 80 years old. It's never too late. It's so change doesn't affect me at all. I think when you have a pretty big significant change, like, you start a family, or you get this job that you've been striving for, and you finally hit that, you're like, okay, I don't think it can get, you have to keep moving forward with that stuff. You can't be constantly looking back at how bad something was. You have to learn from those mistakes, and then you can prevent that change. You can make the change right now and be like, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to be the musician I want to be. I'm going to make the music I want to make. And then you just do it. You just got to take that extra leap.
It's 100%.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't. The fear is all about like that myth of Sisyphus kind of situation where it's just like, I mean, I'm a competitive person, so it wasn't hard for me to be like a very functional, successful person, even when I had a real serious substance issue. But when I got sober, all this stuff became way more fucking clear in terms of like what the purpose of the work really is. And so much of what I did before, I'm not enjoying now, because I was doing it in the service of what other people were wanting, and I was desperate to please them. And all of the people I really respect since I was a kid, musically and artistically, in any medium, I'm big on researching people. When you find out what they say and what they think, they're always expressing that it's like, I'm just determined to do the work every day. And I was the kind of person who always did shit like half-assed, like, because you could get away with it. It's just the way I felt. It was like I was creative, so I felt like you could just make something that makes do. When I learned the power of applying that to every day, like with like serious discipline, that's when I saw results in my playing and my thinking. Just my baseline thinking and awareness, just like everything just felt better and it moved better and it worked better. So I totally get that, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that too. And I've
all right. Well, real quick, and then
yeah,
it was kind of like that change of me going to the Musicians Institute, because I had for a while my dad was skeptical about, it's like, I don't think you could make a lot of money in that, I don't think you could do a lot of that. But I'm just like, yeah, but that's what I want to do. Like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see what happens. And honestly, if you can make something of everything if you have the passion for it. It doesn't matter if it's not the greatest thing that's making the most money, as long there's something for everybody that, can help drive that. And you shouldn't be afraid to just try it,
Right.
You'll like it.
What's the worst thing that could happen? You don't like it? Okay, go do something else you like.
Yeah, go waste your time on some other shit.
Right.
That's real.
Yeah. No, I feel you on all that, man. And even, I think even if you look at somebody else and you go, oh, wow, they're doing really well, on the surface of things, it's like, really what you're talking about is a mentality and a mindset that is at like the foundation of everything. Mm-hmm. And it will carry over to whatever you want to do. And you got to have that foundation. I'm just realizing this now. And there's times where I beat myself up about, I could have done a lot more in all of these different areas, or could have had more focus, or like Davey was saying, it's like I can do things and maybe, I put 70% in and thought that, I was doing all I could in that. And looking back on things, it's like, no, you could have put more effort into these different things. And instead of dwelling on that, you kind of just like this whole last year for me was like a reset is all that, like with my whole mindset. And it wasn't so much about, I have to get a bunch of things done. It became about like, well, let's go down to the basement and see like what the, the underside of this house looks like. Is there like a lot of wood rot in there? It's like, that's fine. Oh shit, there's some water damage over there.
You're down there. You're just like, oh wait, Andrew, is that you? What are you doing?
Right?
And Andrew's going like,
again.
Andrew's going like, just do a little bit every day. And I'm like, thanks, Andrew.
Turn off the light.
Turn off the light.
No, and that was me for the longest time of like anything I wanted to change. I'm like, okay, I want to get better at this. It was like I have to just do like go full on, and instead of going like, yeah, dummy, if you just did this an hour a day and just no, you're good. You're good. No, you're
punctuating
fine.
each moment perfectly, so it's
okay.
It's that picture is sweet.
I got about 10% left.
Oh shit! All right.
Oh, okay.
Let's say everything we want to say to each other.
No, it's I'm trying to incorporate a lot of that stuff that, because I'm 28, I'll be 29 in a couple weeks. So yeah, it's coming. But yeah,
you're haunted by the ghost of youth.
Exactly. But no, it's something where it's like instead of beating myself up about where I'm at and what I could have done and where I could be at this point, I really am appreciative of where I am, and also just trying to go like, you've got a ton of life ahead of you, and like 30 is not,
I woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? But you're here, you're right now, so make it happen right now.
Right, and I'm not in a bad spot by any means. It's just a matter of, like, you think about all these different things. I could have. It's like, but just move on from that. And I have a way better mental foundation about my whole approach about all that kind of stuff than I ever have before.
That's great.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like you're saying. It's just that doing those things consistently every day, and you would think that, I have to be doing this, so no, it's like, no, if you work on something an hour a day for a whole week, like look at your progress and you go, oh wow, that's a lot.
Is a lot. It ends up being like 48 hours, like the band, like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
You add that stuff up, but I applaud you for that, because that's amazing, because there's a lot of people who do the I shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it's like you can sit and think about that, you're like, and sulk in it, but then you're like, if you stop for a moment and you just sit here and you know how some people like slap themselves, get them awake, but
Yeah.
no joke set aside, it's like, I'm here, I'm right now, I'm not yesterday, I'm not a year before, I'm not in the future, I'm right here, like
right
so
now.
I'm gonna make it happen, and I'm gonna take my time, because I have all the time in the world. Everybody does. You just gotta find you'll find it. It'll find you. It's always there.
Well,
that's true. It will, if you're focused on your field of interest enough. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, because eventually you'll be like, oh, wait a second,
holy shit, whole day went by, all that.
Yeah. let's get cracking, and be excited.
Like,
be excited about it. That helps a lot. Be excited about what you do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's
and
absolutely.
Yeah, and another thing, don't let people cloud judgment. We're musicians. No. We're used to that. We're our worst critics. There's nothing worse than ourselves when it comes to music. So, judging us,
same.
There can't be someone worse than us. Like,
isn't that a terrible standard to set for ourselves? But it's true to a person. It's wild.
Oh yeah,
because there's so many people that get excited about your music, and you're just like, really, you like it?
Yeah, like, are you sure?
Yeah, but it's great. It's amazing. Yeah. And then, don't let. And then as soon as you hear someone say like, I don't know how I feel about that, and then you're just like, man, that shit sucked. Like, I knew it. Don't let that. Just take it with a grain of salt. Be like, whatever, dude. Fuck you.
Fucking troll.
Well, right. Yeah.
That's all.
No, and for me, I'm neutral on myself for like the first time in ever, and it's just weird because I would always be self-deprecating or, oh yeah, but there's this, and now it's just. I look at myself not, oh man, I'm the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. It's like, oh, I'm garbage. It's like, no, just listen to it like you would listen to anything else and go like,
if I make
something
wall.
Or,
yeah, he deserves the ding wall.
For God's sake.
Yeah, you ding wall.
Bring us the ding wall. The Lord Jessup.
Such a ding wall.
Ding wall.
But yeah, man, it's I think everything that you're saying is beautiful, and I think that for me that's where I'm working on being right now and making some good progress and all that kind of stuff, and it's just good. It's good to hear all that stuff because
self-assessment is a very refreshing and vitalizing thing. Sometimes, literally look in the mirror. It's okay. I know a lot of people probably think. Some people are crazy for talking to themselves. I know a lot of people that are like the hobos that have like the Bluetooth, and then they're that helps them. It lets people know they're okay.
But it's not connected.
Yeah, exactly. But it's cool to talk to yourself out loud, to be able to hear yourself and hear the things that you say, and it's good mental preparation, and to be able to say, okay. First thing in the morning, like when I get in the car and I go to work, I'm actually in the aerospace company now, but I'm at Scaled Composites, but what? I can't say anything any more than that. But
okay,
there's a sniper outside.
That's good enough for me. Oh, shit. Right? Yeah, that's good enough.
But it's one of those things. Like I get in my car and I have my ritual. I take my 3 deep breaths. Whether they're shitty or I'm like, but I have my breath.
Yeah.
And then, I tell myself, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And, if something goes south, I'll deal with it. I'm going to work with it because there's solutions. Every problem has a solution, and you mental prep yourself for that. So knowing that, in case something goes not the way you want it to, at least you're somewhat prepared for that to happen. But you're not stressing on it. That's the main focus, is to just, and that's where a lot of my writing comes from. That's why I'm able to put out so much music, because I try not to stress on it. I am just like, okay, I'm just going to roll with it. If it sounds bad, I'll come back to it later. I'll do something else. I'll come back, and I'm like, okay, feel good. Let's do this. It's like, but it's an everyday thing, and that honestly, Jesse, that's how I've been. Since the day we were in a band and all that stuff. That's just at that moment, I was like, okay, you know what? Now I gotta make things happen. I have to have things happen now. I can't wait. As much as you want them to, but if you want something done, it's so easy, and it always ask people questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because it's like, seriously, what's the worst thing that I can do? I mean, you could be waiting for hours, banging your head on the wall looking for the answer you want. You could just ask somebody, and you'd be so surprised how much stress is lifted off your shoulders, even if they don't know. You're like, okay, well, I asked them, and that's how, like, that's the main mental mindset that I go about every day, and my music. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, oh well. There's someone out there that'll like it at some point. So I'm not worried about it.
No, I love it, man. I love it. Well, I know that we've got a ticking clock, and I don't want to see the final Andrew picture come up on screen.
I'll try and do something crazy.
Well, no, I wanted to say, anything else that you wanted to talk about with your band or plug, or any last thoughts on that
it like it's hot.
before we wrap up?
Yeah, well, it's Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory.
Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue once you get that Japanese word in there.
If you can say it 3 times really fast, I'll give you a free t-shirt.
Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory. Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory. Yandere Chainsaw Regurgitation Factory.
All I heard was Andre Regurgitation Factory.
Andre the Giant.
Okay. We'll try it again over the phone. I got this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Try and get a free t-shirt. I'm on Instagram, Bandcamp. My music's on Spotify now. The album's available on iTunes. It'll be on Facebook and Instagram Music, so you'll be able to throw it on your TikToks. On your talks. But
you crazy kids.
Your TikToking.
Yep. Us and our TikToks.
Yep. Wait, do I have time for one more dad joke for Davey?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything for you.
Rhetorical question.
Okay. How do dinosaurs pay their bills?
Through sexual favors.
Tyrannosaurus checks.
How?
I don't hate it.
Dude.
I feel like I got something out of it. I don't feel like I feel like that took me somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel like that took me somewhere.
Somewhere. You won't say where, but somewhere.
That's where it took me, all right.
Cool. Well,
yes.
Andrew, it was a blast talking to you
absolutely.
today. And you know what? I'm in doing this podcast, a lot of pretty much everybody that we've had on has been, a friend of mine, and then sometimes it's a mutual friend of both Davey and myself. And it's really looking at all the episodes that we've done, it's really a blessing to look at, all of these different people that I know and work with, and you're no exception to that. So it's awesome that we've been able to stay in touch and stay friends.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm sure, dude, I have this feeling we're gonna end up in I'm gonna be old and dying in the hospital and be like, just put me in this room, and then they're gonna pull the curtain back, and it's gonna be you, and you're like, hey, you're like,
Andrew, hey. Yeah, absolutely. No, and you know what? It's through all of what we've been through already, and then for the future, I can't wait to just see how life evolves and where things are going to take both of us. So.
I want to start playing shows so we can all start hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of bands and I've worked a lot of shows. I have not seen an anime death metal band artist act. So you know what? I will be there. first chance I get.
Oh, real quick, I'm going to be doing a open mic segment at the MOA on Saturday from 12:40 to 12:50. So
nice.
I'm going to actually be doing not death metal, but probably more progressive jazz, sort of maybe like Steely Dan style. So.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm on board.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll check out our stream. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I was going to say the link to all of that stuff will be in the description
Mm-hmm.
below. So if you guys want to check out any of Andrew's music, his merch, IG, all that stuff, his performance at MOA, it'll all be down there. So please give Andrew a follow and a shout and listen and let him know what you think about
the music.
So cool, man. Thank you so much,
Absolutely. Love
Andrew.
you, man.
Oh yeah, bro. Good
Love
to
you
meet
too,
dude.
brother.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me on.
Cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, anytime, man. Absolutely.
Shall we
man.
outro?
We shall.
Right.
We're doing it.
Are we? All right, we're outroing now.
Well, I was gonna say that would be a good point. We shall outro. We're outroing. We're doing the outro business.
Outro we shall go. An outro we shall go. There you go, Max. Put
I was
some
gonna
music to
say,
it.
harmonize that one.
Yeah, good
Max, Maximum Max Taylor.
For some reason, I get like a palsy or my mouth freezes when I have to say his name, so it always comes out as more.
Well, it's. I always think of a sort of Voldemort-esque situation where it's he who shall not be shout-outed in more than once per episode, because even once is kind of
excessive on all levels.
It's excessive, and much like the dad jokes that we had in there, I like doing it because it's if it's mildly annoying. And
wow,
so,
it was like I got to eat my dessert first because we talked a lot about guitars, and he's showing me guitars, and I'm having a guitar I'm halfway into guitar porn right now, and then all of a sudden, the guitar disappears, and you guys are like, remember how much we both love a dad joke, and I'm like, oh fuck my face. Which is funny, because here's the one thing, if everybody stuck through the whole episode, you didn't just scrub it, which God bless you if you did either way. But if you remember, one of the things that Andrew said that had me going, oh, fuck, I already forgot now what it was, but I was like, I related to it so much, and now I can't connect it now. Go figure. Yeah.
It's okay.
But that's the outro for you.
Yes. All I'll say about this episode is that, sometimes you need to hear things, or things will come along when even if you didn't realize you needed to hear them. And I've heard similar things like that from other people, and stuff that friends have talked to me about, or I've talked with friends about. But it's nice to just sometimes you hear something and it just kind of lifts your mood up and elevates you from where you were at before. So
nice.
It was just a well-timed conversation that I appreciated very much.
Right? It was like you got to kill two birds on this one. Admit it.
Oh yeah,
we were like,
it was
episode. Good catching up with the friendo.
Yeah,
solid Thursday night for
it was.
Jesse. Yeah,
yeah.
solid Thursday night.
Well, dude, hey, solid Thursday.
Exceptional episode, boys.
Very exceptional. Yes, no, it's hey, if you ever want to have a reunion on this show, it's it's more than open. I was gonna say if you want to get somebody in here where it's like where you're gonna do the hey bro man dude, remember that one time
we did that
for
though
an hour and a half.
You know how?
Yeah,
I was like, because we all know the same people. We did that with Nate. I was like, that's a pretty deep cut for me. I know him about as long as you know Andrew. I'd say, just not from childhood, which is a factor though. But yeah, it's man, that was a fun time. That was a super fun time.
Yeah.
I could talk to him again.
Yeah, it was.
I swear to God, I'm threatening everybody. I'll talk to him again. I'm going to go actually hit him up about building a guitar, because that would be super wonderful. That's like,
please do
for me. Yo.
Yeah, no, I would definitely recommend that. But yeah, if you would like to get in touch with Andrew, like I said in the intro and in the episode, please check out the description below, and there will be all links to his socials, music, merch, all that sort of cool stuff. And then if you want him to build you a guitar, I think that might be able to be arranged. I don't want to speak for Andrew, but, you know,
if you're interested in commissioning a guitar, yeah, drop a DM, ask him politely. Don't be weird. Yeah, I mean, be here for the weird, but don't be like, like, I'm a creeper and I want to come to your house first and breathe on you and then you build my guitar. Like, no. No, that's not, no.
I mean, come on.
Bad citizen.
I mean, just like the number 5 in Monty Python, being weird is right
out. Yep.
You know.
I gotta go for a silly walk right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have money in the budget for this, but here we go. Arms flailing.
In my mind, the Sonic City Council Chambers is right next door to the Ministry of Silly Walks in a perfect world.
Yep. In the true universe.
So citizens. Yes, in a true universe. Citizens, as always, thank you once again for watching per week and all the wonderful support that you've given us through your likes, your comments, your shares. All of that stuff is super cool. Please, if you want to see certain guests on the episode or styles or whatever, we want to know what you're thinking. Whether or not we do it or not, I don't know.
Hard to say.
But it's I want to know where the citizens are at. Like what kind of music are you guys into? What kind of artistry do you like? What's your preferred method of creativity and expression? We want to feature all types of people on this show. So
your top 3 phobias.
Yeah.
And we want we're interested in details about your relationship with your mother. So get on it. Get on the horn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all grist for the middle.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Yes. Thank you so much, citizens, and we'll see you next week.
Sonic City Council was created by Jesse Davidson and Davey Sipes and engineered by Max Taylor at Desert Sound Studio in Palmdale, California. Thank you to Disaster Cabinet for the outro music. Intro music written by Max Taylor. Sonic City Council is produced in association with Amps Music Academy and the Showcase Venue. For more information, visit theshowcasevenue.com.